Hi, I'm Tamara and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today, I'm going to talk to you about borderline personality disorder and some of the things that I've learned and also observed. We need to start diagnosing borderline personality disorder at a much earlier age. You can start to see the traits in children because I think kids can be more receptive to learning how to cope better. Why not start earlier when your brain is still forming around different experiences? I know one of the arguments for waiting until someone is an adult is because sometimes teenagers, their hormones are going up and down. They're trying to individuate and become adults, and sometimes they can act out. However, if we start earlier, then maybe we can truly help people to overcome this disorder so that there's minimal traits or features of the disorder by the time that they become adults. So I had to go and grab my feelings chart, and I really like this chart because it shows you all types of different feelings and emotions. As humans, we all experience every single one of these, and it's normal to feel these things. And it's important to be able to feel different emotions and to gain understanding of what they look like and what they feel like. So that's the emotion that everyone loves to feel, but we don't always feel that feeling, do we? Many times we feel sadness, we feel confused. There are all kinds of different emotions that we have. Now, one of the things that I've been learning about people with borderline personality disorders is that they don't understand their feelings. And it's a different type of not understanding. They're not making connections at all. So even little kids can usually tell you when they feel sad or when they feel mad or when they feel angry or when they feel happy, and they know how to differentiate those feelings. But a lot of times when people have borderline personality disorder, even the quiet borderlines, their emotions run together like one big ball. They don't really know where one starts and one ends. They don't really understand the difference between sadness and when they're feeling anger or happiness. They all just run together. It would be sort of like if you were colorblind and all you saw was the color gray, and someone kept trying to tell you, this is red, this is green, this is purple, this is orange, and you have never seen what that color truly looks like. Well, how do I get you to understand what that color looks like? So it's the same thing or similar with people with borderline personality disorder and feelings, is they don't really understand them. And I think this is key. I think we have to help people to have an understanding of what feelings are. We have to help them to make connections with the differences, because I think that would make a huge difference in how they interact with other people and being able to understand themselves and explain how they're feeling. Someone has just stolen all of your things and you don't know internally that that is anger that you're feeling. It's confusing. You're not sure if that's really happy, if you're really sad. I'm not sure when I go in and out or how to define the different states of emotions. Another area is memory loss. This is huge. I have two kids in my office, and one of them is saying, "You cussed me out." And the other one is saying, "No, I didn't. I never cussed you out." You bring in witnesses, "Yeah, you did. You were cursing at him." I have had kids, teenagers, who have no recollection of the things that they have done wrong. I've also seen that in adults. Now, I'm not saying that for all borderlines, but some of them don't have good memories at all. It's like they lose time. They have lapses in time. And I think it's their way of coping, or their mind's way of dealing with things that are too powerful or too strong or too negative. Or if you're terrified of being abandoned, your mind can blank out and you suddenly don't remember what it was that you did to offend that person. Why? Because you don't want them to leave you. You don't want to deal with that. I've worked with people who feel like they have been mistreated so much, bullied, talked down to, treated so badly, but they have no recollection of what they've done. Now, what do people say when I try to defend the borderline? They say, Tamara, you're lying. They are lying. They are lying. They just don't want to admit to the truth. Saying that you don't remember saying something hurtful or pushing someone or screaming and yelling or going into a rage, that's hard for most people to comprehend or even accept. They're gonna argue me down, but I swear, and I've definitely read it and seen it and heard it, they can have lapses in time, and I think it is a defense mechanism. So I haven't figured out quite how to bridge that gap in people to help them to make connections between when they're lying or when they're not. Maybe they are lying and it just seems like they don't remember, but I truly think they just don't remember. Another thing that I want to say that's interesting about a lot of borderlines is they usually have an it factor in their personality. I think it's because they sort of create their own personality to some extent because they don't have a self. It's like scary. You need bonding and attachment to really know who you are and make those types of internal connections. But many times they don't know who they are, so they attach to some type of identity, like, I wear my hair a certain way, or I'm part of this group even though I'm not like them, but this is who I hang with. And they usually create something to say, whether it's a religion that they attach to that gives them an identity that they can hold on to. But I think that they also have sort of an it factor. They can be extremely charming, and maybe it's nature's way of giving them or drawing people into them to meet their needs or satisfy their needs, because you can be drawn into the borderline smile or their energy or their, sometimes they can become you. They can make you feel like you are one with them, which is something that was missing for them when they were in their childhood. So sometimes when they're in that attachment stage, they're trying to attach to someone, they can like the exact same things that you like. And sometimes that can be really flattering, like, wow, like we like the same things, like this is so cool. But they almost start to become you, mirror who you are. So they can be very charming, very engaging, really having something that stands out about their personality that's just very intriguing. Also, I want to talk about how they go into rages. Sometimes it can be triggered by the thought that someone might leave them. They could be so sweet, so engaging, so amazing, so wonderful, and then all of a sudden they just snap. I'll tell you an example of this. I was watching Ayanla's show with the girl who was switched at birth, and then her mother, the mother that stole her, was just put in jail, and so she was reunited with her original birth family. But there are some attachment issues going on, and so as long as things were smooth and she was getting attention from Ayanla, she was so nice, so sweet, so charming. But when she told her, I'm gonna cut you off from your family for right now, you can't call them, they're not gonna answer your phone calls, she went nuts. I mean, just started acting out, screaming, yelling, rages, cussing, calling names, just a total 380 degrees, because that threat is real. They don't want to be abandoned. That is extremely scary to them. That would be like, what is your deepest fear? What's something that's scary to you? What's your phobia? And making that times 10. I mean, it is a huge fear of them. So many times they might be the person that calls you 100 times because they want to check to make sure that you're still there, that you haven't disappeared, that you're not leaving them. I've seen some people with borderline personality disorder have some very sophisticated ways of coping, especially if they're very high functioning. Many times they're going to be involved in many organizations, for example, things that can connect them with people. They usually have figured out ways to cope with those deep feelings, which is fantastic. Staying busy can be helpful to someone with borderline personality disorder, but many times they also have an ulterior motive that you can kind of see through, that I know it's not manipulative, but I'm doing all of this to really get my needs met. So for example, you might have someone who's a boss who is leading people, but really their intentions are to have more people that they can connect with that will sort of save them from this pain and this emptiness that they're feeling. So it gives them the more opportunity to have power. You know, I didn't have power as a kid, I have power now, and I'm gonna make you meet my needs. I'm gonna make you pay attention to me. So sometimes it can be frustrating for people who don't have the disorder, because they're leading with a different motive in mind. Now, that doesn't mean that they can't develop some good friendships. Some of them have learned how to self-soothe, and I think that's very important. I think that separates a lot of high-functioning borderlines from low-functioning, is they've learned ways to cope. It might not be how you would cope, but it helps them to deal with that deep pain that they often feel. I think with borderlines, you do have to set boundaries if you are in a relationship with them, friendship, or you have to try to set some boundaries. Because one thing that I noticed, that if somebody is very needy, meaning that they're constantly demanding that you spend time with them, that you call them every day, and no matter how much you call them or talk to them or see them, it's never ever enough. It's like this bottomless pit. Sometimes when you give into that, it stirs up that feeling even more. It doesn't soothe it, it makes them act out more and more. So even though that person can be very demanding, you have to set boundaries and standards that you are implementing to protect yourself. One of the reasons why some borderlines stay busy is because they experience chronic boredom that's very deep. I mean, it's a chronic level of emptiness, and they don't like the way that that feels. So I hope this video shed light. The purpose is we have to find a cure. We have to keep bridging gaps, and we can start making lots of connections to really help children to begin at an early age to overcome this, so that they can lead the most peaceful, happy lives as they possibly can. So thank you so much for watching my video. Please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye.